Mark.
I am so excited to be here. I can't tell you. Already this morning, I've been getting gifts, which is really unusual. Joe got me something that really meant a lot to me. I was just given a song, like a campaign song, which I including the music. And the outpouring of warmth that I have in the district and support both for people volunteering and working and precinct captains and walking and money and all of these things, it's all just overwhelming, and I want to thank you and obviously thank Schaumburg GOP and Joe. I wish he was here and feeling better, but all of you in Schaumburg GOP for all the support. So that's the good news, and that's the warm fuzzy stuff. It's great that we all, probably most of us here, we think alike, or we're very like-minded in what we think is going on and what we know we need to do to turn things around. I'm a first-time candidate. I've run campaigns before, so I've been around Illinois politics, but I'm from the great state of Texas. I'm a true conservative. I'm a principled conservative. I'm a business guy. I've run an energy company. It's the largest energy brokerage in the state of Illinois, one of the largest in the country, that affords me the opportunity to, frankly, to do what I feel I have to do, which I bet a lot of us feel we have to do, is do everything we can to take our county, our township, and our state and our country back, because things have gotten so far off the rails. So I will ask you all, if you're perhaps like me and you just think, I mean, have we had enough? I mean, every day, have things gotten so terrible on every front, whether it's, the border situation or the fentanyl that goes along with that. I personally know of 4 kids that are my kids' friends. And by the way, I have 4 kids and a wife, and all 5 of them work for me in my energy business, so we're all together here. And one of them hopefully will be walking in that door any minute. My mother-in-law had a little bit of an accident. She was in the hospital yesterday, so otherwise my family would be here. But in any event, I've been to 4 funerals of fentanyl, and these are kids that are, fentanyl's killed 80,000, mostly young people last year, and I've been to 4 of those funerals, and these are wonderful, beautiful kids. These aren't drug addicts. I mean, we live in a state that thinks it's legal to do drugs, or at least marijuana, so, some of these deaths are simply kids who are getting marijuana, which is legal, and it's laced with this fentanyl stuff. And where's that coming from? From China. And then how's it getting into the country? Through the southern border, through the Mexican cartels. And this is just one horrible thing. I mean, imagine if if Hamas was killing 80,000 young Americans a year. Would we do nothing about it? Because we're doing nothing about it. And I mean nothing. And my opponent, Raja Krishnamoorthi, and Joe Biden, because they're together. They vote exactly alike. They support each other. Raja's a Harvard lawyer. He got a Harvard law degree, and then worked on the Obama campaign, then became an Obama staffer, and he thinks he knows what's best for us. And one of the things that he's doing, and Joe Biden's doing, is allowing thousands of people to pour into this country every day. We don't know who they are. We don't pretend. We've arrested over 200 who are on the terror watch list. So how many are coming over that are actual terrorists that we don't catch? Because those are people who give themselves up for the most part. You have to work hard to get caught. I mean, they basically get in line because they get food and they get a cell phone and they get money. And I don't know where that money's coming from. But anyway, my opponent's for that, right? And we in this room, I don't think we're for that. We've got veterans sleeping on the street. We've got all kinds of problems. We've got inflation through the roof, which is another symptom of having leftists run our economy or run our country, because they think just printing money is okay. Print money, give it, bribe people, do whatever you want. And meanwhile, we've got high inflation and high costs and high taxes. Wages aren't keeping up. And this is all predictable, whether it's the border, which is killing our children, or the economy, which is killing all of us. I'm actually living in the city right now. The crime is, you think you're in a movie, escape from New York or something. If you guys saw that movie, I mean, it's just terrible. I was with my daughter walking our little dog, little cute dog. I've got a beautiful daughter, and we're walking the dog in the city, right by the Wrigley Building, and a guy comes up to us, like, you know, who knows, a gang member probably, or a crack addict, or a little of both, and he's like, he just comes right up to us and says, he goes, excuse me, but he says, I'm gonna effing kill you. That's what he says to us. And then he says, and then I'm gonna kill your effing dog too. Now this is like every day in the city. That's what's going on, and people are dying in the city. So anyway, I carry a gun, you know, I'm a concealed carry guy. Told you I'm from Texas, you know. So I wasn't so worried for my safety, but I was able to diffuse the situation, and we moved on, and we saw a police officer happen to be right there in front of the Wrigley Building. I'm like, officer, first of all, thank you for your service, you know. But listen, I was just threatened. My life was just threatened. There's a guy, he's going crazy. I think he's gonna, who knows what he's gonna do, right? Well, could you get him off the street? Could you do something about it? He's like, well, did he knife you? Did he stab you? Or did he shoot you? That's what he says to me. I'm like, well, obviously not. I'm talking to you. He's like, well, there's nothing I can do. Nothing I could do. And I'm like, you know, that's where he says, look, unless we get new leadership, we get new government, like new attorneys, state's attorneys, or district attorneys that will actually prosecute these people, or a mayor who will make crime illegal again rather than legal. I mean, you can actually commit crimes and they don't even bother to arrest you. If they do arrest you, they have the Safety Act that lets you ride out. I mean, things have gotten that bad. But anyway, this police officer was actually trying to be nice to me. I think that was his way of being nice, and he was definitely a Republican, and he's going to vote for me. Actually lives in our district, it turns out. But anyway, he says, well, listen, I said, you know, should I go make a citizen's arrest, or should I do something to stop this guy? I mean, he's going to hurt somebody, and how am I going to feel if I do nothing, and now somebody's dead because of inaction, and because we all are sort of sleeping and thinking this is okay, when it's not okay. And he says, well, let me ask you something. He's like, where do you live? And I'm like, right there, right next to the Trump building is where we were living at the time. And he goes, well, that's the problem here. He says, I wouldn't live here. I wouldn't let any of my family live here. It's dangerous. He really said that, and he really meant it. He totally meant it. And that's, I mean, how did we get here, right? I'm asking you guys, have we had enough? I mean, how did we get in this situation that our safety, you know, that's the least the government should do. Then they have to do that. That's why we have a government, is to keep us safe. And they can't do it. They can't do it. And it's not that they can't. I really think they don't want to. There's people who want to destroy us. There's evil in this world. It's real. And in some places, like in Israel, they're called Hamas. Here, they're called conflicted, corrupt politicians who have foisted all of this terrible policy, which really hurts our ability to be free. In a capitalistic situation, they would like socialism. They would like the government to control us. They would like us to be very confused and not even know whether we're a boy or a girl. They start at the beginning, right? Look what they're doing to our kids in the schools, and the grooming, and the teaching of all kinds of nonsense. Gender is just a part of it. There's of course, the CRT, you know, the critical race theory kind of stuff. We have to feel guilty unless we're a minority. Well, anyway, all of this stuff is so upside down and nonsense. Do we agree with that? I mean, you guys see how crazy this is, right? So here's the good news, is these guys are so evil, and they're trying to destroy us in such a transparent way that we in this room, I think, we see that. And we're not watching MSNBC and the Clinton News Network and being hypnotized by all of this nonsense, this leftist nonsense. I feel like I'll talk about myself. I feel it's my fault that this has happened, because I raised 4 kids, and I'm Jewish. I go to synagogue, but we go to church, or we go to synagogue. We believe in God. We work. We have real jobs. We don't have patronage jobs. That's a Democrat thing. If you know what patronage jobs is, they're not real jobs. They're like fake jobs with the politicians. Actually, Bob can tell you about that. The Democrat machine here in Chicago has made a living and a career out of employing people or giving people free stuff, and people like us, we're not part of that group. So that has made it very hard for us to win elections, because they have an army of people who will work the precincts. I know a lot of people here are precinct captains, and God bless us all for the work that we do. I mean, it is hard work, but imagine if your job depended on it. If your kids wouldn't eat unless you were really working hard for your party, because they're going to keep you in power. And they're going to work really hard, because if they don't, they're going to have to move to another state and get a real job. God bless Schaumburg GOP, and God bless Joe and all of you who lead this organization. I mean, there are parts of my district, of our district, the 8th district, where there isn't even a GOP. There's nothing. There's no breakfast. There's no precinct captains. There is nothing. Hanover Township, Maine Township. I'm not talking about little towns, like big swaths of the Chicagoland area that don't even have a Republican Party. So obviously, if you look at the state, you look at a map for the elections, the whole state's red except for Chicago. And the reason that the whole state is called a blue state is because Chicago is filled with a lot of leftist Democrats and really apathetic Republicans, maybe even like myself, or even us good people. We're not so much apathetic, but we've got our heads down. We've been asleep, right? So we've been sleeping, so it's my fault, right? And maybe some of you will share my idea that it's our fault, that we've let these people, that we wouldn't give the keys to our car, we wouldn't let them do really much of anything. We'd let them babysit our kids. They have like really crazy ways of looking at things. They're not able to hold a job. That's why they're in this situation where they don't really have to work for a living. And we've let that happen because we've been asleep. So, Ronald Reagan, who I really respect and consider a hero, he called us the silent majority, right? But I call us the sleeping majority, because we've been sleeping. We've let this happen on our watch. So that's all the terrible news, right? And rather than be gloom and doom, because we all know that. We know inflation's out of control. We know the border's out of control. And we know that crime is out of control and much, much more. But we know that my opponent and our congressman in this area, Raja, he's for all that. He's for defunding the police. He's for an open border. They think more immigration is better, even though we can't afford it. And even though these people mostly can't offer anything, and the asylum excuse is just that. It's an excuse, it's not real. For 90% plus of them, they just want more money and a better quality of life, which we only have because we're a capitalist system, and they don't want to change that to make us like Venezuela or Russia or China. Well, no, thank you. Well, I've had enough. Have you had enough? Right? I hope you have, because now what we're going to do is we're going to activate. They're not smarter than us. In fact, far from it. We're smarter than they are by a long way. But we have lives, and they don't. So they give their whole lives to getting these feckless, leftist, Democrats elected that are destroying our country, destroying our way of life. So all we have to do is find people like myself, not that I'm any great shakes. One of my heroes also is a guy named Kinky Friedman. I doubt many of you would know him, but he ran for governor in the state of Texas. He was my camp counselor. His slogan was, "I'm no damn good, but I'm better than what you got." I mean, that's a real thing. We couldn't have worse, right? Brandon Johnson, like Joe Biden, Raja Krishnamoorthi. I would not let those guys mow my lawn. I would lock every door if I did. These guys are just the worst of the worst. So how do we get rid of them? Smart people, hardworking people, people who believe in God and have morals and values. We're going to come together and we're going to figure out how to do it. And I'll just give you the Cliff Note version, because I'm a business guy. I know how to succeed and how to overcome challenge, even though they may be immoral and even criminals, let's say. Because look, Madigan's going to go to jail, I'm pretty sure. Burke is definitely going to jail. I mean, they all probably should go to jail. But whether they go to jail or not, we can do the right thing, what God wants us to do, which is to make this world a better place, and we can do it by removing their butts And we do that by getting to the ballot box and voting. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? We're not insane. You know, I'm not a politician, I'm a business guy, but I'm gonna do all the same things. I'm raising money, I'm getting volunteers, I've got signs, I want you all to take signs, and I've got material, and we've got walk lists, and we did a video, I think Monday or Tuesday, and it got 100,000 views. You know, we're on social media in a big way, doing all that stuff, but we're not gonna win with that. We're gonna get 45% of the vote, and we might as well get 4% of the vote. I want to win, not to lose. We all need to start thinking like winners, not losers. This district can be flipped. I've got a lot of widespread support, and we are targeting this district as a district to flip because we don't have much of a majority in Congress. I know you guys all know about Santos getting kicked off and McCarthy leaving, right? Everybody's familiar with that. And I always get asked because they think it hurts the Republican Party. They're like, oh, what do you think about Santos, you know, getting expelled from Congress? And Congress did it. He wasn't voted off the ballot. He was literally kicked off. And that really hurts the Republican Party in terms of their ability to rule the Congress because the majority is shrinking and shrinking down to almost nothing. And so what do I say about Santos getting kicked off? I think it's a good start. We got to get rid of all these people. They're all corrupt. Every freaking one of them. And most people feel like we all do, that Congress is in it for themselves. They inside trade. They do all kinds of illegal things. And it's also our fault because the incentive is there for Congress to essentially enrich themselves at our expense. They're not servant leaders. I'm a servant leader. I'm giving up money. I'm giving up opportunity to do this. And I'm doing this full time. I'm giving it up. I mean, this is the real thing. If I tell people, if I don't win this election, and if we don't come together and win all these elections, somebody like me and maybe like Joe back there and some of us, we're going to be in re-education camps. I mean, people, they are coming for us. They do not like us because we're a big threat. Because some of those people, they're going to be out of jobs. Not just the politicians, but the swamp, all these bureaucrats that we're paying all this money to. Like, you can't believe the bubble they live in DC. I want to end all that. I want to get rid of half the departments of the federal government. I want to bring power to the people, power to the states. That's what the Constitution was founded on, was a state governments, and the federal government was there to do the limited things that they could do. It's turned completely upside down, and our leadership now, they go into Congress broke, they come out multi-millionaires, and they're completely conflicted, they're corrupt, and they're career politicians, so I'm for term limits, of course. All this is to say that us real people, not the fake, politicians who talk to you like your children, who talk to us like they know best because they think they know best. In fact, the mentality of it is they think that they know what's best for us, so they feel good in these decisions they have. They feel good about printing money and having high inflation and an open border and fentanyl. They probably don't mind because they've got some twisted way of looking at it, and being more of a socialist country is what it's all about. We have got to stop that. So anyway, I've come here to the 8th District. I'm working my butt off to do that. We need to get life into this party, and we need to turn this state red, just like Texas and the whole rest of the state. We need to turn this area red, because that flips the whole state. I do need your support. There's a sign-up sheet over there, or maybe on the table out there. If you will sign up just to volunteer to put up a yard sign, to be one of these campaign workers. You can obviously donate. You can volunteer to do any number of things. But we are the people. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing it for my son, for my kids, for my future grandkids, and for you and your grandkids. I'm closer to the end than the beginning, and this is what I'm going to do. And I hate that I have to deal with these. When I go to Washington and I talk to politicians, I want to take a shower. It's dirty. It is really, really dirty. And it's maybe our fault we let these guys get in there. It's time to clean things up.
Yes. Question.
Mark, you think that you could get a debate with Raja?
2.
All right.
Yes, 2. Am I getting debates? We're going to have 2 debates. I can't wait. Because I tell the truth, he lies. I believe in God, he doesn't. I believe in democracy, he believes in socialism. We couldn't be more apart on just about every issue.
We have another
Yes.
question.
Yeah, you described fentanyl as a major concern. You said this is something we have to attack.
Yes.
And part of it is the precursors coming from China.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on how we can stop that?
Okay, so only because I don't have an hour, I didn't get into it, but like really quickly, basically, all my solutions are common sense solutions. Like, okay, we have a border problem. How do you fix that? You close the freaking border. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. So to close the border, which answers some of the question, I'm going to get to the rest of it, which is you reinstate Article 42, you reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, you finish the wall, and you put guards down there to actually guard the border and not let these people in. And when they do come in, and they come in illegally, they get deported. And this loophole of the asylum status, that's fine. Well, they can wait for their trial, but they'll do it back home where they came from. There's other measures too, like essentially they have to wait in the country right outside of theirs. That takes away like 60-70% of all the illegals because they're coming from further away than Mexico. So they don't need to come all the way to the United States. They wait and go through a legal process. But then the really cool thing that I am for in terms of really getting at fentanyl is we're going to go to war on terror. These cartels that are bringing fentanyl here are terrorists. They're killing way more people than the terrorists killed on 9/11, and they're doing that each and every year. So we're going to go to war, and as a federal congressman, I have something to say about that, and I will absolutely do everything I can in my power to get the rest of Congress and hopefully a Republican president to take it to the cartels. It'll take like a week. These guys, these aren't armies. These are thugs with guns. And we get our military and we go down there and we bring them to justice and we arrest them because they are killing literally thousands of people. Well, not 1,000 a day, but almost, hundreds of children a day. They are killing and we can stop them. And I would be all for doing that.
Congress, just on Friday, just passed another continuing resolution.
Yes, they did.
Kicking the can down the road.
As always.
In the March.
Yeah.
In the March. How would you have voted for that bill?
Well, it may seem controversial to many, and it is a controversial topic, but I will tell you that Republicans who I even admire in Congress, there's not many of them, but there's a few, but they all make deals with people who don't have our interests. And they make deals so that we can give more money to Ukraine or to sell more military equipment or to do things that really benefit their donors. And I've just had it with all that. So I am not down with necessarily, I respect Speaker Johnson and the fact that he wants to keep our government going. I think the threat of a government shutdown isn't necessarily a bad thing. And if these guys want to spend money that we don't have, and they want to really not take care of business for us, they're just doing things for their donors, let's just shut it down. So I don't know enough to say exactly how I would have voted, but I will just tell you that in general, I am for reforming the government from the top down.
Mark, have you heard of Convention of States?
Yes.
Great, bringing power back to the states,
Yeah.
giving people term limits.
Yeah.
Glad you've heard of it.
Yeah. Oh no. First of all, I'm going to end up signing, of course, the pledge for term limits. That's 100%. People argue about it, but I'm for like say 4 or 5 terms, like maybe 8, 10 years for Congress people. Only 2 terms for senators. I'm also for cognitive testing. But in general, a lot of these problems are because we allow these people to go into office for life, right? And they stay literally until death. They're there, and they're there getting funded by special interests, and so much of the power is in the federal government. It shouldn't be that way. The Constitution was written by the states, and the federal government was there maybe to get the states together to protect ourselves and to have an army and to do things that flipped so backwards. And because of that, we have the leaders of this all-powerful federal government that are mostly, either they're senile or they're corrupt, but almost none of them, very few of them, are principled conservatives. And that's what we need. That's why I'm running. And when I win, I'll be there making a difference. And part of that will be trying to give power back to the states. Anyway, that's all I got. I thank everybody for your support. Come talk to me afterwards. I'll stick around however long it takes. Thank you.